Always believed that the days of our children would be better than our own. But we've discovered that owning things and consuming things does not satisfy our longing for meaning.
That's a clip from 20th Century Women, Annette Bening and Greta Gerwig, starring in this coming-of-age story about a 15-year-old boy being raised by his eccentric single mom. Let's get more on this and other movies now. We'll find out what to watch for in this new year. I'm very happy to be joined by film critic Richard Crouse. Now, good to see you, Richard.
Nice to see you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
That looks like a great film. I'm a huge fan of Annette Bening, especially her earlier work.
Well, you're going to love this, too. Yeah. And what I loved about this movie is, so essentially, it's the story of a 15-year-old boy who's growing up. His mom is played by Annette Bening. She runs a rooming house, and there's, various people coming and going. But she thinks that she is just from slightly enough of another generation that she gets some younger people to make some decisions about how he's going to lead his life. It's funny, it's smart, it's based on director Mike Mills's actual life story, so it's really heartfelt. But what I really loved about it is you've got a variety of women in here, from Annette Bening to Greta Gerwig, who are getting to play interesting roles. They're not the girlfriends, they're not the secretaries, they are
meteor roles.
Meteor roles. And Annette Bening, who is not 30 years old anymore, is starring in movies and knocking it out of the park.
How brilliant is that?
Yeah, so 20th Century Women, I think, is the kind of movie I'd like to see more of. Let's have movies where women over the age of 40 aren't all of a sudden playing moms and grandmoms, and that's all they're playing.
Yeah, like the sideshow instead of the main entree there.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Patterson.
Love this movie.
Okay.
Patterson will be out in theaters in about a month here in Canada. It's already open in the U.S. It's Adam Driver. He plays a bus driver. His name is Patterson, and he lives in Patterson, New Jersey.
How about that?
And he writes poetry. Whenever he's not behind the wheel of a bus or having dinner with his wife at home or playing with his dog, he writes poetry. And we get to see some of the poetry. It sounds kind of insufferable. This is such a beautiful movie about just finding the beauty in life around you. There's no conflict. Nothing much really happens. I know I'm not selling this movie, but go see it and you will see that this is a movie that is the perfect antidote for everything that's happening. Sort of when you hear the news and you hear all these bad things that are happening around the world, go see this movie and be uplifted. By the story of a man who just looks and finds beauty around him.
So far with these two movies you talked about, it looks like we're getting this new year off to a sort of a poignant note. These seem like very serious, introspective movies, if you will.
Well, both have very funny moments, but they are sort of introspective in a way. Unlike Trainspotting T2, which I haven't seen yet. It's coming out a little bit later on in the year. I threw this on the list because 20 years ago, 1996, this movie came out, Trainspotting came out, and rocked everything. It was so unusual. It was different. It felt different. It was funny. It was uncomfortable sometimes. It starred Ewan McGregor, Ewan Bremner, Johnny Lee Miller, and Robert Carlyle, all of which who have gone on to much larger fame after this. Directed by Danny Boyle. They're all back together for this update of their stories. And the thing that I love about this is that it's not, a sequel, as we so often see, where, it's 10 years in our years, but in the movie, it's only like a year later. So they've, this movie, 20 years later, they're revisiting these characters, and we will finally get an update on what happened to all of them. I'm really looking forward to it. Robert Carlyle and I spoke about it about a month or two ago, and he said he can't wait till people see this. They will be surprised by what they see.
Awesome. All right, let's talk about another sequel, 50 Shades Darker.
Yeah, 50 Shades Darker. This one, Dakota Johnson is back as Anna Steele.
This is Don Johnson's daughter?
Don Johnson and Melanie Griffith's daughter. Yeah, Tippi Hedren's granddaughter. And then Jamie Dornan is back playing Christian Grey. If you recognize the name Grey and Anna Steele, you'll know about 50 Shades of Grey, the kind of soft core slap and tickle movie, and based on the phenomenal series of books that sold so many copies, phenomenally best-selling. Not phenomenal books. I think we have to make that point clear. Phenomenally best-selling books. Now, the sequel's coming out. They expected to make a fortune. In fact, they expected to make so much money that they not only shot one movie, they shot two movies at once. So there is a 2 and 3 already finished now. They shot parts of them in Vancouver. And I'm curious to see if audiences are still interested. We are now, a couple of years away from the phenomenon. down. There was a time, if you were on the subway or on a bus or something, you saw loads of people and they'd all be reading books in brown paper wrappers. That was 50 Shades of Grey that everybody was reading. But that was a couple of years ago.
On the down low.
I'm curious now to see if people are still interested.
Yeah, well, we'll find out. All right, as always, it's good to see you. And finally,
Thank
nice
you.
to meet you in person.
Nice to see you.
That's film critic Richard Crouse joining us in studio.